I'm Kortnie.
Oh.
Sorry.
I was still meditating.
I forgot you needed me to sing a song first. Okay.
Okay, now I'm ready.
I'm Kortnie.
And I'm choking.
Take 3.
Take 3. I think we should leave all of these in.
No, I think so too.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm Kortney.
And I'm Emily, and this is
Cheers to that.
Dink. Hello, and welcome back to another week of Cheers to That. Today, Kortnie is drinking an Olipop, and I'm drinking an Angry Orchard because I'm a degenerate. So that's how we're starting off our Sundays. How's everybody else doing?
Well, I feel like we haven't got a chance to really catch up because you keep leaving me every weekend.
I know.
And
I hate it.
This is not going to work out for our relationship.
No, and the thing is, I just throat burped and I'm praying you couldn't hear it on the mic. I can't wait to listen back. The thing is that if anyone knows me, they knows I'm not okay. I'm having a stroke. Anyone that knows me knows that I am the biggest homebody. Like, I really enjoy being in my home, in my cave.
We have flip-flopped this summer. It's been the weirdest feeling.
It's not a vibe I want to continue in my life because I do miss my house. My pool is green from being away.
Yeah.
My son is in shambles. Not really, he's fine. But I'm in shambles. My sleep is wrecked.
Yeah.
You know, mommy just likes to be home.
Will do to you.
Yeah.
And we haven't really done that much travel over the summer, and now summer's over. I'm like, well, we're out of time, folks. We missed our window.
Catch me in December, I guess.
Yeah. So, we FaceTimed twice yesterday, but that doesn't count. So
no, and I FaceTimed you
face to face.
I know. I FaceTimed you multiple times because I was like, I miss you, and I had to talk to you.
I know, and
I need you to be with me at all times. You're my emotional support animal.
Yes. Thank you for calling me an animal.
You're my emotional support, Kortnie.
What would
You're my emotional support knee.
I love that. But if I could be an emotional support animal for you, what animal would I be?
Oh gosh, wow. What a question. Because I really hate animals these days.
Oh, that's cool.
Not you. I'm just saying, like, I can't think of an animal that would be like relaxing to me because I would just be thinking of its hair. So maybe like a cute little capuchin monkey or something, like something that can be on my shoulder and like use a litter box or toilet or something, and like maybe I'll shave it or wax it so it's hairless.
And then I can like pick at your hair.
Like
monkeys.
Yeah.
Feed you bananas.
Exactly. Connor's compared me to a monkey many times because I have said it on the podcast before, but I love like popping pimples and like picking, and I do that so bad to my son too. It's really a joy of mine. So I am essentially a monkey. Let's be monkeys together.
That's why.
What would me be to you emotional support?
Probably like a tiger. Like it's in a good way because you're very protective.
No, but like a dangerous animal is what you're gonna be like your emotional support.
No, because tigers I see as very protective, and you're protective over those that you love. So you're protective over me, and you're going to growl at anyone who wants to fight me or anything.
That is a fact.
So
and that's why I feel like
tiger.
Done that. In this life.
Out in public. Yeah, whenever.
I feel like more like out in like at a bar, someone like bumps into you. I'm like, you better say excuse me to her.
Like, you should have seen my sister and I back pre-kids.
Yes.
Just a whole different universe. And we were in Austin and on Dirty 6, is that what it's called?
It's called 6th Street, but Dirty 6, there's like East 6th Street, which is like 6th Street. It's fine. It's the classier side. West is Dirty 6th. And that is where I left a piece of my soul on Dirty 6.
It was wild. And I just remember like we were out or whatever. Matt was there, and we were like supposed to be done drinking because it was like time to go. We were past our point, and Lauren and I were like to the guys, we're like, hey, we're gonna run in and go to the bathroom real quick in this bar. We run in really fast and we take a shot of tequila at the bar and then run back out. We're like, okay, we're done going to the bathroom. But then consequently, because we were that drunk, someone had bumped into me while we were in a bar. It's just some like probably like frat college guy, whatever. And he spilled my drink a little bit, and I was like, excuse me, you spilled my drink. And he was like, you stepped into me. He was about to fight me, and Lauren's back behind me like a little chihuahua, like bouncing back and forth, like, oh, I will get you. I'll get your ankles.
I can't imagine the two of you.
I know.
No. Because y'all are so like scrappy.
Matt literally like grabbed me by the shoulder and just like brought me back slowly. He's like, Kortnie, now is not the time. Like he reins me in so well, and he knows how to do it because he's like, back up.
See, and I have the opposite because Connor's like, let her go. Especially if he knows, like, if he feels that I'm in the right. Like, Connor has almost watched me fight grown men, and he's like, I'll step in. Like, you're not going to hit my wife, but like, listen, she's going to get you.
Yeah.
She has seen it happen. I've been carried out by my shoulder, like a bouncer in Nashville when I lived in Ohio. I was on a work trip. So this is even worse. I was with all my coworkers, but I was like just talking shit to this bouncer. I was like, come on, you don't let me do anything in here. Cause I was like trying to stand on my bar stool, but just being a dumbass. And he grabbed me like 2 hands on each side of my arms and carried me like a child out downstairs, down a flight of stairs, and then deposited me on the curb outside.
He's like, you're little.
Yeah,
like,
no,
I will move you.
It really humbled me in that moment. I was like, okay, Emily, you probably need to cool down because you're 5'3", so calm down.
Oh, to be 22, 23 again. Like, those days are long gone, and I'm glad, like, I can laugh at all of these memories because, man, like, I'm just not that,
Well,
I'm not that person anymore.
Dirty Six, the one time I ever went out on 6th Street, we were in Austin. We met up with one of Connor's, like, college roommates that moved to Austin right then, and I hadn't even turned 21 yet. No, I must have been 21. I don't know. Either way, I was young. I was 20 using a fake ID, or I was freshly 21, like a child. And so we didn't meet up with like Connor's sister and her boyfriend at the time, now her husband, until way later, like midnight. So the bars closed at 2. So it was like power hour. We got to like, and I was drinking a drink called Adios Motherfuckers, which if you've never seen, they look like ocean water from Sonic. They're bright blue.
Just hurts
and they
your
are
stomach.
all the types. I couldn't even smell one now. Like those days are again so far beyond removed.
We can't do that for our tummy troubles we have now.
Literally. So I think I slammed like 4 of those.
Yeah.
And then Connor was like, where's Emily? We were like rotating around places, and Connor was like, I can't find Emily. Looks over. I'm riding a mechanical bull.
That sounds about right.
Like, and also that's definitely was my move at that point in my life. Like, if you couldn't find me, find a mechanical bull, I'm on it.
Yes. Yeah, you're doing something crazy. You're talking to a stranger, you're riding a mechanical bull, or you're in the bathroom throwing up and rallying.
Literally. So, in summary, that I've never been so hungover still to this day. Like, I could hear sound and felt like my head was going to fall off.
Does that feel like a whole other lifetime ago
Absolutely.
to you now? Like, I feel so far removed, I think, and it's been a while, obviously, but it's just crazy to think back, and you're like, that was a different Kortnie, or that was a different Emily.
Yeah, that was E-Money.
Yeah.
She was on the prowl. Not like the sexual prowl. Like, I wasn't interested in finding guys because I had my guy. I was just ready to be crazy. I really don't, I can't explain.
You had that sense of freedom.
I guess. I don't know. I really don't know what it is.
I just wanted to get wild.
I'm crazy. And then now I'm like, Connor, it's 9 p.m. Please hand me a Benadryl. I need a solid night of sleep.
Literally.
Pathetic.
I'm like, I need my couple of hours to like wind down, read a book, or watch my show. And then it's time to bed at 10:30. On Friday night, I fell asleep at 10:30 in Addie's bed because I was putting her down.
It's amazing.
Fell asleep for the rest of the night because I was out. So last week, we had our first full week back to work, and we had a lot of like trainings, and we had a lot of meetings, blah, blah, blah. And it just wore me out. I think just like being on the computer, it definitely gave me a sense, like screen fatigue, I think is a thing. I just have to get used to it.
What was I going to say? You started on Monday. I started on Wednesday since you were a new hire. Oh, I was going to say, but then I think also the nerves of starting a new job, the adrenaline rush, I think that will take it out of you. Because I know anytime I've started a new job, I feel like I am going to fall asleep on the drive home. Yeah. Obviously, you're not driving at this point, but like the emotional thing of like being so on grates on you.
And it's crazy because, I mean, I'm pretty apt to change. We've moved so many times. I've taught in 3 different states now, but I was at my last school for 4 years. And so, sponsor.
I'm turning my beer around. So
I was at my last school for 4 years, and you just get comfortable. You're comfortable around the people. You know the ropes. And then I didn't realize, though, like, oh, shit. Like, I was more excited about just, getting more time with the kids. I forgot about all of the things that come with starting a new job.
Well, starting a new job.
And the feelings that come with it.
And starting a new school year, because when you're a teacher, and like obviously we're teachers, so we get the summers off, which is really great. But I think that does, for me, it puts me into a little bit of a depression having to start work again because I'm like, no, I like collecting a paycheck and not working.
I know. Why can't I be
why can't you guys just pay me to not work?
Yeah, a stay-at-home wife and mom. Literally. Because you have paid
2 months where you're not working. but you're still getting paid. And so you're like, being a stay-at-home mom is awesome. But it's like, yeah, but you wouldn't have the anyways. So
but think about all of the influencers or the TikTokers that do get to stay home and they get in, I mean, they're bringing in a paycheck to buy like an Escalade is what they're doing.
Why, God? Why must you give me these struggles? Why can't it be?
Let's all say a prayer. Dear God, please let us be an influencer.
So tired of being responsible and having a real job. So not that influencing isn't a real job.
I'm so tired of teaching, of having the weight of the world on my shoulders, of teaching the youth. And I'm teaching the future of America. That is a weight that I
is
carry.
Startling. I mean, wait. No, that's really good. You're really good at math. And you teach really good lessons sometimes. I'm just kidding. You are a great teacher. I just like to make fun of you because
I have to laugh at myself.
You will say things that I'm like, nope. And you're like, oh, I taught a class of kids that today. And I'm like, excuse me? Like the eye of the hurricane thing. Didn't we talked about that before, right?
No, we've never told the story.
Shit. This bitch.
I've got to go ahead and tell it. And
go, please.
For all of my coworkers who do listen to this, I apologize because...
all of the parents of the children.
I know. I'm embarrassed, but it was actually so funny. So I was teaching in a self-contained room, which means that I had multiple grade levels teaching all at once. I was in a behavior room. And fun fact, it's very difficult to teach multiple grade levels.
Yeah.
And I'm setting this up to try to make an excuse for myself, but truly there is no excuse.
There's no excuse for the error you made,
so
but also
I had to
your mental
teach,
state.
on top of everything, I had to teach science. I don't know anything about science. And I also don't know anything about hurricanes because I'm a tornado girl. Like, I just know all about tornadoes. And so I had to teach about what to do in a hurricane. And like, for some reason, I didn't have any material. Like, I basically just knew like, oh, teach about a hurricane. And so I have my
and you thought, I'm going to raw dog it, no research.
Hey, I was holding on by the ends of my coattails. What's that called? Nope, that's not it. What's that called?
The skin of your teeth.
No, there's something about
riding your coattails is when you're like following someone else who's doing something good. Like so if I got famous, you'd be riding.
I was hanging by the skin of my teeth.
Okay. Yep, okay. That's it. Good job.
And my para in there, fun fact, he is from Barbados. And if he ever finds out that I won't mention his name, because if he ever finds out that I talked about him on a public platform, he'd be like,
he will kill you.
What? Anyways, he's from Barbados. So obviously he knows about hurricanes because that's an island. And I'm up there teaching in front of my group of kids. I'm like, okay, guys, 101 safety of a hurricane. If you're ever in a hurricane, you go to the eye of the storm because that's where it's calm. And he looks at me and he's like basically doing the hand signal of like cutting your throat. Like, yeah, no, cut it off, cut it off. And I was like, oh, what? And he's like, that is the last place you want to be.
You're literally in the middle of the store. Like, it's calm for that 1 minute. And then you're in the literal worst place.
I had no idea. I learned so much. And so I actually I was like, can you finish the lesson? And he got up and taught about the hurricane and what to do in the event of a hurricane.
The kids are also like, you've lost all credibility with us.
I know. Well, and let me tell you, like, if you need tornado safety, I've got you, girl.
Yeah.
Like, I know what
they
to do.
They don't need it, but it's nice that you offered it. I need to pause real quick because I'm really scared I didn't start the video. Hold on. Okay.
You did start it? Okay.
No, I just got super paranoid. I started everything, but all of a sudden I was just like, did I hit it?
You're like, it's if you are worried, you leave a straightener on.
Literally.
And that's then you walk back in and you actually did leave the straightener on because that's happened to me.
That doesn't surprise me at all. I did that when I was a teenager and I burnt the floors in my bedroom.
Do you have any embarrassing teacher stories? Now that we're on that. Just one.
Oh, God, yes. Yes.
Because, guys, and if you are not a teacher and you're like, oh my God, how could she do that? Try being a teacher for one day. Well, and it is stressful.
But there's also like something that happens when you're like, it's public speaking essentially, right? Like teaching is a lot of public speaking in a smaller group.
And sometimes your brain just leaves your body.
Your brain doesn't work. And also you're like trying to keep on this like persona almost, like of you're so smart and you're the teacher and you've got it. And like, you know things when you don't. And this was my first year teaching. So my first year teaching, I taught world geography. 9th graders, so they're coming in and sweet kids, but they're still super immature and like you have to be careful what kind of jokes you make because whatever.
It may go way over their head.
It could go way over their head, but it also they're gonna take every single thing you say as like a sexual innuendo or like you have to be careful because they're thinking more perverted than your brain can even conceive.
Yeah.
So I was teaching a lesson about climates and biomes, talking about like the different regions of the world and what their climates are like. So we're talking about a desert, it's dry, it's arid. We're talking about I can't even think of an example right now. The tundra, it's also dry, super cold. And then we are talking about the rainforest, and I'm having the kids just like call and I'm like calling quick, rapid fire, because I think we were reviewing for a test. And so I said, all right, rainforest, like wanting a kid to yell out what the climate conditions were like. And a kid yells out hot and wet. And I said, that's right, Elijah, or whatever his name was. That's right, Elijah, coming in hot and wet. And
you regretted that instantly.
Like, the kids started giggling a little bit, but for some reason I just could not recover emotionally. I had a parent in the room too, and I was laughing so freaking hard. And my face was bright red because I was like, I cannot believe I just said that in a room full of 14 and 15-year-olds. I wanted to crawl into a hole. Coming in hot and wet. And I was like, oh my God. And then they were all laughing because I was laughing more. So I made it triple bad. But that's the most embarrassing one I can think of off the top of my head that haunts me.
Speaking of embarrassing stories, you've heard this, but I have to tell it again because it's so funny, about whenever I went to the car dealership. So I was driving to the car dealership to drop my car off to get worked on. And this Hispanic lady walks up to me and she has a very thick accent. And so she's like, oh, what's your name? So I'm like giving her my name, and she goes, oh, you have such a pretty face. And I was like, oh, thank you. Like, I just woke up out of bed.
I'm gorgeous.
Yeah. It's natural. And what she actually said to me was the next line. She said, do you have an appointment? But what I thought she said, because of her accent, was, do you have a boyfriend? And I looked at her blank face and I said, no, I have a husband. And she goes, no. Do you have an appointment? And my face does not turn red if I get embarrassed. I start sweating is what I do. No, my face turned bright red.
God.
I could feel the heat.
Isn't that the most terrible feeling?
It was. And she started laughing. I was laughing. And I thankfully, she was like super cool. She's like, you just never know these days. I was like, yeah, you gave me one compliment and I ran with it. And I thought that, you and so leaving, she was like, bye, thanks, you made my day. And then coming to pick the car back up, she's like, oh, hi again. I was like, oh, she's never going to forget my face.
Like, I actually need to sell this car because I need to go to a different dealership now.
It was so bad. That is like the most embarrassed I've been in a very long time.
I honestly love that happened to you, because my face gets red if sometimes I won't even feel embarrassed and my face gets so bright red. And it's a humbling experience. And so I'm just glad that you can share now, because it's
burning.
Terrible.
I'm like, I actually like just profusely sweating because no one can see it. Yeah. You can see if your face is turning red.
And and then I get more red because I know I'm getting red. And it's just this self-fulfilling prophecy of the redness and the embarrassment. It's so... It's not good.
Yep. I just had a nervous laugh at myself, but
I love it. I forgot about that story, and you called me. This was like last week, right?
Yeah, it was last week.
You called me and told me, and I was like, goodbye. I have to go. and in my mind, I was thinking that, was she older or like our
She was
age?
older. No, she was
in
my
in mind,
her 50s.
When you told me that, I was thinking that you thought she was going to like ask if you were married or had a boyfriend so she could like introduce you to her son. But you thought
no,
that this woman in her 50s was hitting on you.
Hey, I thought it was like a hot commodity for a second.
Like, I thought you, in your mind, you were like, oh, the next step is going to be like, I have a son or I have a nephew. And you think this 50-year-old lady working at a car dealership is trying to date you.
Hey, you give me one compliment.
I love it.
I run with it.
I love
it. So that's all
Truly.
I've got to say about that. But
God, I can't. I'm dead.
I have had a busy week of like reading and watching.
Can't relate.
You
cannot relate. So go ahead.
Okay, so Throne of Glass.
Oh!
I'm working on that. It is so good, you guys. She made me a believer. Like, she only had to convince me for at least 2 years to read the series, but now that I'm in it, it's so good. So good.
And the thing is, so all of you haters, I'm thinking of Claire, who texted
roasting you about
roasted
it.
the shit out of me, my aunt,
you.
which it was hilarious. I was laughing so hard.
It was accurate though.
She texted us, Emily, when you talk about your books on the podcast, you're like, it's a really good series. It's 37 books. It's 439 chapters per book. And then there's also a prequel. Like, I just talking about how superfluous and annoying I am about my books. But you non-believers, once you get in them, you'll under freaking stand.
It's so good.
It's so good. It's so well written. I'm just delighted that this universe has opened up to you. Yes. And I forgot we talked last night about this because I was asking like where you were at. And I'm just like, because so much is going to happen. And I wish books like this, I reread books all the time. I'm rereading this series right now but I wish I could capture like my feelings the first time again. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because so many things are going to happen. You can't even comprehend.
Because I don't know what to expect at all. Even though I did read the prequel, it still didn't give a glimpse. So the prequel, it's obviously sets the background, but it talks nothing about like really magic. It might have said like one or two little things there, but nothing much. And then Throne of Glass starts out where it's talking about like the forests, like are magic, but the kingdom bandit,
the people
blah, blah,
isn't.
blah.
Yeah,
and so
the people isn't. The people aren't.
It's just I'm like, okay, there's so much more to come.
And I think it sounds so
to happen.
Annoying and lame whenever you tell someone it's like magic and there's like fae and all this like weird stuff. But once you get into it, and in Throne of Glass especially, it's such a slow burn. Like they introduce it so slowly that by the time it's like really in the forefront of things, doesn't feel so like lame and weird.
The way she wrote it, if it were to go like 0 to 100 full throttle into the magic world, I probably wouldn't be into it. No. And so she's very smart to have done it like that. So Throne of Glass, I'm working on it. We just finished season 1 of the Dragon Show. What's that called?
I was gonna say How to Train
House of Dragons.
I literally was about to say.
So we get to start the newest season.
Wait, you finished it?
I finished it. Yes, it had.
The last episode?
The last episode of season 1. No, literally screamed out loud. Like,
I remember watching it and I was like half paying attention. By the way, you're going to blow people's eardrums out with that. You just screamed into the mic. No, I think Connor didn't watch it with me. And I think I was like folding laundry or just like half paying attention. And the end, which not to like completely spoil it, basically one character gets just like chomped by a dragon at the very end. And it's like,
and it's the character, spoiler alert, should I say it?
I mean, fuck, you're going for it now. I'm saying a character, and you're like, and also, so just so you know, it's this one.
It's one of the kids that is like deemed to, he's royal blood, whatever, blah blah blah. And so he's just this kid that's riding this dragon that like went on a task for his mom, and he's coming back, and his cousin on the other dragon chomps him in half.
Literally, spoilers. Like. Do you hear yourself?
No, but I said spoiler, so that meant I could spoil it.
Whatever. I don't care anymore. You're not spoiling it for me.
But if I put the spoiler alert, people will know. Like, I'm spoil
totally.
The whole thing. Also, I have to reverse back though to like episode like 7 or something, where it shows her having a stillbirth. Like that affected me in so many ways I didn't realize that it would. Like it was so intense, and Matt and I were watching it together. I was like, oh, like some of the parts are very painful to watch in House of Dragon.
Don't you feel like it's more painful than a lot of the storyline was in Game of Thrones?
Yes.
Like a lot of children death situation. I'm not really vibing with it. That's why I haven't really gotten into season 2 yet. But I feel like,
it's a lot of like they'll have stillbirths or they'll have like miscarriages,
which is probably accurate for like.
But I'm wondering though, because Matt and I were talking, it's like, because they're all inbred. I wonder if that's why they're having all these miscarriages.
That's true.
Because she's literally having babies with her uncle.
That's so true.
So
yucky.
I'm wondering. Anyways, okay, so that's House of Dragons.
That's Game of Dragons.
Game of Dragons. That's House of Dragons. We'll start season 2 this week. I finished Your Honor. I finished season 2. I won't give any spoilers on this one because there's too much to wrap up, and I don't want to take too long. I won't give any spoilers, and if I do, I'll give a spoiler alert.
We'll see. Go ahead.
So Claire recommended this one to me, and I love it. If you're looking for a drama, like check out Your Honor. It looks like they're going to have a season 3. I was looking it up last night, but it looks like it's going to be in like 2 years. I'm like, guys, quit doing that because I'm going to forget about it. It's not going to have the same impact.
I don't get committed to series that aren't complete because it pains me physically to have to wait that many years for things.
And the end of season 2 like just gives so many surprises. Like one spoiler alert, like you think one character's dead but he's not, and like that's it. That's all I'm gonna say.
You 1 minute ago, 60 seconds ago, you said I'm not going to spoil anything. then you hit everyone with a spoiler alert. Because you can't resist.
It's just too exciting to share. It's too exciting.
But the best part is you're only sharing with me, technically. Like, we're recording our conversation, but like no one's here. It's not like
I'm about to start sweating.
Like you're acting like we're sharing it with a crowd. And like someone's giving you feedback. I've never seen the show.
Oh yeah. So I'm spoiling it for you, is what you're saying. If
I don't care, but I'm sweating right now.
Okay. I watched one more thing that I have to tell you about because it's
Where are you
super
finding
good.
this time?
Late at night. Everyone went to bed last night, but my father-in-law and I stayed up last night and watched. It's called The Land of Bad. It is a movie, and it is a war movie, and it has Miley Cyrus's ex-husband, Liam Hemsworth.
I'm sure you would love that intro. Okay.
Liam Hemsworth, and then the Milo, like, vigilante or something like that.
You're on a fucking roll today. I think it's like Milo Ventiliago or something.
Yeah. Vigilante. Vigilante justice.
That part is, I knew who you were talking about. So honestly, maybe you're onto something.
But it was a really good movie. It's on Netflix. My dad recommended it to me, and
go ahead and tell us how it ends.
Well, apparently, like my dad, if you're watching this, Dad, you like watching like shirtless men because that's all it had in it. They were like greased up, like blood all over them, shirtless.
No, are you calling out Alfonso this way? Oh my god!
I'm just kidding, but it was really good. The storyline was good, and it involved like drones being used in wars too, which I thought was interesting.
A modern day? Was it a
like
period
a modern?
piece?
No, a modern day. Like targeting extremist groups in Southeast Asia. It also had Russell Crowe in it, so it had like a really full throttle cast. I was very impressed. So
I know I've never even heard of this.
You guys should watch it. It just came out on Netflix.
Well, that's probably why I haven't heard of it.
But that's the end of my era, the end of my saga.
Well, I don't think I've read a single page since we last talked.
You've been busy though. You were at the beach all weekend.
You're not wrong. And alas, another busy week continues. I said I wasn't going to do hair at all in August. I'm doing hair tomorrow. I have Fielding's pediatrician appointment tomorrow. Tuesday.
Yeah.
There's other things that are going on. I never took them to the dentist this summer. Oops.
I did take the kids to the dentist
You're so much better about things like that than me. It's honestly alarming.
Well, I'm just like, if it says every 6 months and I'm going every 6 months, but they did so well. Like, I was just really surprised at like how well they did.
I'm terrified of the feral animal my child will become in the dentist office.
They're going to have to gas him just to put him just to look at his teeth.
He's going to bite someone's finger off. He's going to get kicked out of the dentist office for biting. He just started this past week biting me in retaliation.
Oh, yeah.
He hasn't done that since he was little bitty, like 6 months old, whenever they're learning. I don't know what.
He probably learned it from Tucker. Honestly.
I don't know what has gone into him.
Tucker gets angry and he
dude, it's not good because he has a full set of chompers.
Yeah, he does.
He's got the molars and he'll get you with them. So we've had lots of
knockdown dragouts.
Or,
gentle parenting moments.
Yes. I've been telling him, please, dear, I know my skin feels good between your teeth. Don't do it.
Just,
go sit down.
Go bite something else instead. Don't bite me, sweetie.
Are you biting me because you're hungry? Okay.
Thank you for sharing your feelings with me.
Here's your all-natural granola. It'll satisfy those teeth. No, it ends with a 1-2 slap to the ass.
Yeah.
Because Mama's had it at that point.
You do what you got to do.
And when they bite you, like something takes over an instinctual thing, I think, because it hurts so bad.
Well, they have to know. You can't bite.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still working on that with Tucker, so I'm preaching to the choir.
Tucker's younger, so it's fine. It's just like crazy because he hasn't done this. So I'm like, where the hell did this come from? But we'll blame Tucker.
Please.
Thanks a lot, Tucker.
Please. Well, we have a new topic this week. So 2 episodes back, we did friendship. Last week we did birth stories, and one of my sister-in-laws texted me about that, and she was like, that was my favorite episode by far.
Really?
So I know.
I literally haven't listened to it.
It felt so good to have that feedback.
I love that.
And then Carol, she, she's so cute. So who I call my work grandma. She, first of all, mailed me a card that said, the card said, working your lasso off, and it's a cowboy with a lasso. And then on the inside of the card was just like, I hope your like first week of work went well. And so I called her and we were catching up, and she was like, the last episode, so with the birth stories, I talked about Tucker's, and she was like, I was crying right along with you guys because she was like, I was a part of it. I was there. Like, they were getting, bits and pieces too while I was in labor. Because they were like my little support group at work. And she was like, I was crying right along with you guys.
Well, I always make fun of Connor because he's a sympathy crier. Like, if he sees literally anyone cry, he's going to start crying. And not like boo-hooing, but he gets tears in his eyes very easily. But if I hear... Like, I think if I hear you cry, it really gets to me.
Yeah.
And even, like, listening back to the part where you're, like, tearing up and your voice gets shaky, I'm like...
I know, so we're like, we can't listen to it again. It's too much.
Because when I was editing it, I, like, saw that part, and I sent you a Snapchat, and I was like, I'm literally tearing up, like, editing, because this is terrible. But, yeah, no, that was good. This week, our topic, though, we're kind of talking about a big topic again. But setting boundaries and what that looks like with family, with friends, with children.
Yeah.
Everybody. And this is something that I really wanted to talk about with Kortnie because, like we've been saying, I've been traveling so much this summer, and pretty much all of that, actually 100% of that travel has been with family. And so it's been a really interesting shift and change in dynamic, because when you go from like seeing family in a setting for, let's say, 6 hours, 8 hours, like a day. Like, it's Thanksgiving, and you go over and you do the thing, and then you go home and you have your own space again. That is such a big adjustment. A big adjustment is going to staying the night in the same place as people.
Yes. Something I've learned real quickly is whenever you share a space with somebody, it just brings a whole other dynamic. And really does. Sometimes it works really well, sometimes it doesn't. And like, you have to do it to find out. But traveling with people and then sharing, I think like sharing the same space the whole time. I will say, not to like take over what you're about to say, but whenever my in-laws and us, we traveled. I was pregnant with Tucker. We went to California. We did the Redwoods, and I really liked, we evened it out quite a bit. We balanced it because we were with them for a whole week. So like some of the time we stayed in an Airbnb because it is like financially like made more sense. And then other times we stayed in a hotel so we could go to our separate places. And that was really nice because it was like we got to spend that time together with them in the Airbnb. But then we, I'm sure they enjoyed like having a little bit of space. Course. We enjoyed it too. And not in a bad way, but it's like just if you're going to be with anybody for, a extended amount of time, just being able to find those pockets of time with your own space is nice.
Yeah, that space. Well, and I think like it's okay, normalize that adults aren't really meant to live with like adult couples. Like obviously you're meant to live with your spouse, but like adults are not meant to live with each other outside of your like immediate family. And I think it is a struggle when you do. And the biggest thing for me now is having a kid into that mix.
Yes.
That I think changes things. And everywhere I've stayed this summer, it's really just been this last month. Like July was a heavy travel month for us. And it's been in a house where we've all had communal spaces. And I think that does bring a lot of challenges and changes, and especially when you've got a kid and you're in a house that's not baby proofed and he doesn't understand.
Stressed because of having a kid in general who's like out of their norm, out of their routine. And I know I find myself getting like stressed, and now my fault is like I'll take it out on people on accident, but it's because like my stress level is way up here. Sure. And then I'm on like eggshells of like, oh, well, da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, okay, Kortnie, take a chill pill. Yeah. Like calm down, take a deep breath.
And
but it's hard.
Are both anxious people in general, but also like we perceive things I think differently than someone that has a more relaxed personality might. Like I'm thinking everyone's mad at me all the time. That's just like how I live my life.
Yes.
And then I kind of like puff up and I'm like, well, if you're gonna be mad at me, I'm gonna be mad at you. And it's not a good way.
And then no one's actually mad at anybody.
And now the whole thing has been created because of that anger. So just talking about like setting those boundaries and what that looks like and how to advise that with the kids, without kids, because it is a freaking challenge. And I mean, we always talk about how we travel so well together. So what do you think our boundaries are with traveling, and why do we travel so well together?
I think we know our limits. Like, I think we know like what trips would be good, what trips maybe wouldn't. I don't know, but I also feel like we have a lot of open communication and we feel comfortable enough to talk to each other about like, hey, I mean, because we laugh because like you don't want to go camping, and so like that's not a trip we would plan together because we know that like that's not your guys' forte. Like neither you or Connor want to go camping, and so like we can go do that with like other people or by ourselves or whatever. So it's knowing like if you want to travel with someone, like finding where you guys would like a common place that you both would agree on.
That's
and
a really good point.
Like, I think that helps a lot because that takes the stress out of it because then everyone's enjoying
on the same page
and
happy. Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that.
What about you? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think
and
that
how to manage it.
one of the reasons we travel so well together is because I think we travel very similarly.
Yeah.
Like, I think our expectations of what a trip looks like are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like even when we go to Mexico and stuff, it's like we almost are on like a synced clock. Like we wake up similar times, we go and get breakfast and sit together and like.
But it's also nice because in Mexico we have our own living spaces.
Exactly.
Because like in Mexico you stay at a resort, and so like at the end of the night we can go our separate ways, which like does give like that good boundary.
You have to have that break. Yeah,
yes.
I agree. So I think traveling similarly and having the same expectations of trips is a huge thing because it's like you're saying, like pick the location, but also like some people are balls to the wall itinerary every 10 minutes, and like that's definitely not how I travel. You're not as much that way, but you are like more structured than me, I think.
Yeah.
But I think even like when we go on trips now, it's not, you've come down with that more in the past few years. And not that you were ever crazy with that to me, but I know that like you've mentioned that's like been a thing.
That I like I like used to like be like, no, this time, and I'm like, okay, I'm like the one that is trying to like control every part of the trip, not even meaning like what we control, what we do, but like, oh, well, we have to be on time, and I'm like, it's vacation. And that's been the one that's like reminded me of like, hey, this is our vacation. Like we don't need to be on some like timetable.
Being on a really strict itinerary and timetable on vacation makes me feel so depressed. I can't express why that gives me that feeling, but it makes me feel like
because in normal life we're on a timetable.
Maybe that's what it is. It's like, this is my break, and if I want to lay in bed till 11 o'clock, I'm going to do it, and it's no big deal. But yeah, I think having an open line of communication, but then traveling like with friends and the people that we have traveled with, when it doesn't work out, like what are you supposed to do with that too?
Yeah, that's really hard. Because it's like you have to analyze the situation of, okay, was this just like a one-off like moment, or is this something where I don't want to travel, together with someone in the future? And you do have to decide that. And, I was talking to another one of my friends about this, just like in general, like just over the summer, we were talking about it, and she's had the same experience of, she's very picky with who she travels with now, because it's like, number one, you're taking off time from your job most of the time. Like Matt has to take off work if he's going to travel. And like we plan around our summer to do that. It's a lot of money. So why would you take off time and spend a lot of money for you to be like basically miserable with your own vacation? So that's hard. But then I get to the point too where like it's ideal, for us four to go. So me, Matt, and the two kids to go on a vacation. But I'm like, but it's so much more fun if we travel with y'all, or if we travel with like Gail and Jimmy. Because I'm like, I want to go on another California trip. It's so much more fun. I love
a group. I know, I agree. And like Connor and I laughed about that on our honeymoon because we're like, we're kind of bored. Like, because at a certain point, it's like, okay, like, I guess we'll keep going on dates.
Matt and I used to travel together, and it's not that, but it's just more fun to have more people around.
Also, I just have to say that I'm mentally ill because when you said the four of us, I thought you meant me. But you meant your children.
Yeah, I would like to take my children somewhere.
So I'm not okay.
What do you do though if you're on a trip and like something does happen? How do you weigh? Because I've had this happen where, like, how do you weigh what gets brought up and what gets ignored? Like, that's really hard to know what to do because you don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill, right? But you also, like, if it comes down to your kids, you want to stand up for your kids. How do you handle that?
For me, personally, when I was younger, I would have flown off the handle and, like, motherfucked everybody and then just been so angry.
Yeah.
And as I've gotten older, I've realized that's not necessarily I mean, that's not necessarily, it's not the best way to be. Like, it's not good to scream and fight. It's really honestly childish to scream and fight. And so, as I've gotten older, I think I've gotten better. Not that I'm perfect at it, but I've gotten better at removing myself from the situation instead of continuing, because younger Emily would have continued arguing the point.
Yeah.
And I think understanding and letting go that, like, of the idea that not everyone has the same opinion as you, and is not going to have the same viewpoint. And if someone's viewpoint is so drastically different from yours, you're not going to change them, just like they're not going to change you.
Yeah.
So you have choices there. You can leave completely, forfeit the vacation, and go. But then that's a big statement. So the repercussions of that, the repercussions of that, are heavy, and so you have to really consider that. But also, I think like you were saying, when it comes to your kids, or when it comes to like just setting your boundaries and protecting yourself in general, that's where I struggle, because I don't know. I don't know what's best. If it's best to completely remove myself and say, like, this is a boundary I'm setting, I'm leaving, we won't do this, blah, 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 blah. Or if it's better to be amicable for the group you're with, and to, kind of stay and just like sweep it under the rug, think about it later. And if you want to say something or do something, act on it when you're not angry anymore.
I think that's 1000% like the best option, and not that it's always going to work out that way, but whenever you can gather your own thoughts and your emotions, and this applies like not even trips, but this applies to like any type of boundary that's like been overstepped that maybe wasn't an explicit boundary. Like, people, you can't assume people just like know these things, right? And these are difficult conversations to have.
The thing is too, you might not even know your own boundaries until they're crossed.
And then you realize like, oh shit, I didn't like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like, how as adults do we handle that maturely, civilly? Because I think growing up, like, we were raised like to not talk about our emotions, sweep everything under the rug. And now as an adult, I'm like, well, no, I don't want to do that, but I don't want to cause issues, because I hate people being mad at me and I hate issues. But like, how do you have adult conversations about these boundaries? And is it an explicit conversation? Is it like casually thrown out? There are so many options. And so if you guys even have like the people who are listening, like have advice on how they've handled situations, I would love to hear feedback about it, because it's something I'm continually learning to do. And it's funny because really any boundary I've found that I care about, it only has to do with my kids. I'm like, honestly, like, you can do what you want to me. It obviously would hurt my feelings, but I like, and with myself, I can draw a clear line of like, I didn't like that, and I don't want to be around that anymore.
You're so good about like saying things like that, though. I will only say things if I'm super angry. Like, I can't stick up to for myself unless I'm very mad. Yeah. And I have a really hard time when it's over with. I get like a little cowardly with wanting to set those boundaries calmly, because I am scared it's going to get rejected. And like, also just in the history of like my life and my experiences, it's basically like anytime a boundary has been set with anybody, family members, friends, boyfriends, whatever, it's like the boundary is set and the relationship is done. Like, it's been very hard for me as a human to set boundaries that are respected, and then also like have led to a healthy relationship after the fact. So I feel like
you're very like, you receive boundaries really well, because I know, which this is like on me, because it makes me like so nervous, like to even, because I've set a boundary with you before, and you set boundaries with me. No, it's not. No, I'm saying it is a good thing. No, which one? Exactly. But like, there's been instances where I was like, hey, like, I didn't like that, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But it's easier for me to text it, but it's kind of chicken shit of me, because it's very hard for me, as close as we are, it's very hard for me to sit face to face and be like, hey, like, that hurt my feelings, or hey, I didn't like when you did that, and vice versa. But I've noticed like any time, and this has happened maybe twice in our friendship, like, this is not something that happens on the daily.
She has a lot of boundaries. I'm on probation all the time.
Anytime like I've said that, you're like, oh, like, I'm so sorry, I didn't even realize it. Like, you're very receiving to it. Yeah. But not everyone's going to be receiving to a boundary.
Yes. And I'm also like, I can't really think of a boundary I've like set with you, because I'm more like, please still love me. If I say this to you, maybe you won't love me anymore. But I mean, you don't. There's literally nothing you do pretty much that I can think of that would be a boundary I need to set. But I'm thinking of one specific. I used to call Addie a weirdo.
Yeah.
And when she was little, like under one, like she couldn't talk yet, but I was like using it as a term of endearment. And you were like, hey, that bothers me. I don't like that. And I was like, oh my God, like I didn't even know in my brain, I wouldn't even have thought that would have been a bothersome thing. But like, why would I say that? And then after, I've like never done it again. Because
I think it's because like for me, like I remember times getting called weird as a kid, and then that brought up those feelings. Now you're still weird as an adult,
and
yes, and now I just embrace it.
It wasn't a nice thing to do, but like in my brain, I had not even formulated it in that way. So it's good. I think boundaries help everyone grow in relationships, and I think if you can accept boundaries, you need to look at yourself.
It's so hard to do, though. It's so hard to bring them up and as comfortable as you are with someone, and then imagine not being 1,000% comfortable with someone, and you have to set that boundary. Yeah. And maybe that's a little bit easier though, because you like have a little bit of distance in between.
Yeah, you know? I can see that. I think in some ways, and talking about like family trips in general, because obviously I've had a lot of family time this summer. I think it's so difficult because we grow and change so much. And like from when I met like Connor's sisters, or like obviously my brother who has known me since he was born, I have evolved as a human.
And they have as well. Much. Everyone has.
Yes. We all have. Everything has changed. The dynamics have changed. So like when we were younger, we could all like party, drink, and maybe fight a little bit, and then we'd like separate, and then we'd go back and be fine the next day. And it's so different now because we've all changed so much. And we don't see each other super often. So it's like hard to have these big shifts in personalities and really only see each other like, I don't know, 5 times a year maybe.
Yeah.
So that part is just hard because I think your boundaries and your opinions are ever changing. And it's really hard to know like, and then sometimes there are instances where someone's not matured maybe or not moved past certain anger maybe they had in the past or anything like that. And then you get this disconnect of like, I'm here, you're still here. We're missing each other completely in this fight. And that's really hard.
I think those situations though, that's when you just have to step away. Like
I know.
Those situations, I think like in life, if you have someone that like you're trying to communicate, they're not receiving it, you can just walk away. Like I think you give yourself permission to like, I'm going to be done with this conversation and we may not ever talk about it again because I can't do this.
Yeah. But that's what's hard. And I was thinking about this when you were talking, like clearly the better option if you want to continue our relationship is to stay, take a beat, gather your thoughts and then, rejoin the fray and exist. The other option is like leaving a situation completely. And I'm not talking about like leaving and going to your room. I'm talking about like exiting the trip. I'm going, goodbye. So I struggle with the concept of like what I think is so pushed now is protecting your mental health and protecting your peace and things like that. So I think it's so challenging as moms, as women, as a person to protect your mental peace, but also maintain relationships.
And to a certain extent, depending on your relationship with these people, you want to protect them too because you still love them.
Yeah.
You may not be happy with like how they handled something, what a conversation you guys had or whatever, but like, everyone's like, oh, protect my peace. And like, it is about that. But at the same time, you still want to protect those that you love.
Absolutely.
So how do you do both?
And also, how do you find a line between the opposite way of protecting your peace, but what if you were bending so far for other people to protect them? And that's kind of where I feel like I end up myself is like
that's a hard
bending. And then all of a sudden I am like angry because I've broken because I've bent so far. You know what I mean?
Yes. And then you're resentful almost.
And then you're angry. Yeah. And so it's really an interesting, I don't know what the answer is. And honestly, after all of this traveling this summer, I'm starting something that I have talked about starting for years and years and years. And I made a therapy appointment. So I'm actually going to start counseling.
I'm so proud of you. Thanks. I'm so proud.
Well, I think I have to find a way to I need more tools in my toolbox to deal with situations because my default, I joke about it all the time, but my default emotion is always going to be anger. Like if something makes me sad, I'm angry. If something scares me, I'm mad. My friend Rindy like accidentally jumped on me one time at school because she was excited and I was like, what the fuck? And she still talks about it because I like scared the shit out of her because I like yelled.
Yeah.
But it's like she startled me and like headbutted me. But
that was your...
I'm so mad. Like she apologized to me for like a week. I was like, oh, I'm over it now.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as it's done, I'm fine.
She's like, but the way you reacted
was crazy. Yeah. But I was just like so in the moment. And that's how I process a lot of my emotions. And so I just feel like I need a professional that is unbiased.
Yes.
For me to say, this is my life. Help me. Because
we all need it. I've been there. I think that at any point anyone should go to therapy. Like no matter if you feel like you're fine or perfect,
if
whatever.
you think you're perfect, you definitely need to go.
Yes, but if you think you're fine, like, I mean, I've been through therapy a few times, and like I could go back again and like learn so many new things. I will say it's very funny because my sister was like, we were just having a conversation, and I was like, man, like, I guess I've never read like a grief book. Like, I don't have any recommendations. And she's like, you mean out of all people, you've never read a book about grief? I'm like, no, I mean, I've been to therapy, but I guess I've never like done any like self-help.
We were like cackling about that because we're like, you have experienced some of the most grief, especially so young in your life. And you're like, oh yeah, those books? No thanks. I'm going to read The Hunger Games.
I'd rather be in my pretend world.
But that's me 100%. Like self-help books, don't know or can't read them. Like I had all the books for having a baby and so boring.
Yes. No, they're so boring.
And then I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to read my fairy porn instead. Thank you so much. I would like to pretend like I'm not here. I don't want to be in this.
I want you to know I'm very proud of you for making a therapy appointment. I think, you know, it's a great idea, and that therapist, if they're good, should be able to also give you tools on like how to set those boundaries. And then you can bring them back to us, because what I love to do is live vicariously through people who actually do go consistently to therapy.
You cheap ass.
And then I text, you know, whoever it is, and I'm like, oh, so, you know, what they tell you today?
So can you ask if you have a friend that has this problem, how they would handle it? You pay the $135 to go.
Give me your bullet pointed notes, your cliff notes.
You know I will. Because one thing about me is I cannot stop talking about like self-actualization when I'm having it. I'm like, and then I had this breakthrough and these themes in my life and da-da-da. Like one time at Star Testing, I wrote down my trauma timeline, which I really recommend if you've never done that before. And it doesn't even have to be necessarily trauma.
Just like your life timeline.
I've heard it referred to as a trauma timeline because you pinpoint kind of big events that have happened in your life, whether that be moving or the death of a pet, or as big as like, you know, divorces and family members dying and things like that. Like, I think it's really, really interesting to look at patterns in your life. And for me, doing that, I did it while I was doing Star Testing. So state of Texas, don't come after me. I was like writing this down furiously while I'm like doing it. But
you were hall monitoring.
I was.
You were hall monitoring.
I was hall monitoring. Yeah. Anyways, and I realized so many themes in my life, and I could really connect them. And it was so interesting. And I'm really hoping through therapy and counseling, I get that same kind of feeling of like a plug meeting the outlet. You know what I mean? Like it's just this, it clicks.
If you get the right therapist, you will. I've been through a couple, you know, I mean, I haven't been to therapy that many times, but like the last one I had, she was okay, but like I didn't feel that connection, and it was really hard to like want to share.
This one was a referral from a friend. So I'm hoping I have a good connection with her. We'll see. But I mean, I just, outside of even setting like boundaries with family and like that kind of strife with other adults, I think it's just so important to also be like as complete and whole and mentally stable and healthy and emotionally intelligent as you can for your children too.
Yes.
Because that's kind of where
we're passing all of this shit down to them, whether we want to or not. And it's like, we obviously will always think like we're doing our very best, but sometimes that best still isn't like what it needs to be. And that's where like parenting is always tough, because we think we're doing the very best, but then they're going to grow up and be like, well, you did this, you know? And because guess what? That's like the circle of life. That's just how it is always going to go. But you should always try to like, just where can you improve in certain parts of your life? And like right now, something I really want to improve on is like, the way I stress, I speed up doing everything, and that has affected like cortisol levels. It's affected. I mean, I think it has.
Are you doing blood tests at home?
I mean, I'm just saying, like
my cortisol spiking. Like, okay, Dr. Kortnie.
That's TikTok, Kortnie.
You're a TikToker. I'm coming up with so many. What did I say earlier?
I lost it. But
emotional supportney.
But TikToker is pretty good.
TikToker.
Anyways.
Goodbye.
But like something I want to focus on, because now this has turned into a therapy session, is just slowing down with my stress levels. So slowing down whenever I get stressed, slowing down going from place to place for tasks, eating, just slowing down my life, because I noticed that I'll be talking to the kids, hurry, let's go, get in the car, we've got to go. And I'm like, I'm literally manifesting anxiety for them. Right. Like I am giving them anxiety later down the road by making them stress because I'm like, let's go. Come on. We've got it. It's so urgent. No, it's not urgent. We can be 2 minutes late to something or I can get up earlier. But
that's the real thing. The lesson that needs to be learned is me waking up earlier and then I'm not angry. Because I woke up earlier.
And then you're not carrying that with you all day.
And no, I definitely agree. And it's like, I think, again, there's a fine line because you want to teach them like to be punctual and be respectful of other people's time. But also it's like good to teach them the healthy habit of if you do X, Y will happen, right? So like if you get up early and get your stuff together, you're going to feel so much better when you do the right thing. Like and that's kind of what I had like almost an epiphany this weekend with Fielding because, you know, we're telling him to do things and he's like opening cabinets at the speech house because they're not baby proofed, obviously, because why would they be? And he's opening them and I was like, I need you to close that, like close the cabinet, walk away. And he looks at me and he's thinking about not doing what I'm saying. And then all of a sudden he closes the cabinet and looks at me. And so I was like making a big deal, like, dude, good choice. Like, and I just had this kind of breakthrough of like my party line, if someone wanted to criticize that, of like, I want to teach him how good it feels to do the right thing, not how bad it feels to do the wrong thing.
Exactly.
I just want him to intrinsically have the feeling of when I do the right thing, I feel so good. I want to keep doing that.
Yes.
Not, I think what most 90s kids were taught, if I do the wrong thing, I'm going to feel so terrible. I'm going to be scared of doing the wrong thing and not even.
Well, and that's literally behavior 101, but it's hard to remember to like praise everything, but it's so good. And they thrive off of it.
It's a shift in your mind, I think. Like, it's a shift for me because I think like, I mean, we've joked about like spanking and stuff, but like, I think action, discipline, consequence, whatever, you know what I mean? Like that's just, and there are times where that's appropriate, but when they do the right thing, encouraging that is so much more important than disciplining the bad.
Well, I mean, there are studies, I'm not going to quote anything, but like whenever you are praising a kid for doing something right, there's a different part of their brain that goes off and it signals to them.
Yeah.
And that brain, the scan, whatever, that leaves a more lasting impact than if you're telling them the negative thing. Like that's a short-lived thing.
Right.
But if you're telling them the positive things, it's like the part of their brain, it's holding onto it longer.
Yeah. It's just
it's crazy.
Rewiring.
There is actual science behind like why you should do that.
Well, and I think of like myself, like I would much rather receive praise for what I'm doing right than being told what I'm doing wrong. And obviously if you're doing something wrong, you have to be told with constructive criticism. But if you're only getting told what's wrong, then for me, that's where I joke about like my oppositional defiance. I think that's where a lot of it stems from is like, oh, I don't care if you think I'm right or wrong because all you've told me is the wrong and you wouldn't tell me if I was doing something right anyway. So screw you. And I think that's rewiring and basically like flipping how I think of things.
Yeah.
It's so hard, but I think so valid for how I'm going to raise my child. And like, especially not especially, I guess, but raising a boy, because I don't know what it's like to raise a girl. I want him to grow up and be emotionally intelligent. We don't encourage, as a society, men to be emotionally intelligent.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very, very lucky because my husband is extremely emotionally intelligent. And one of the calmest people you'll ever meet. I mean, when we started dating, I would try to fight with him, and he was like, I'm not fighting with you.
Yeah.
And that's why we work, and that's why we're married, because he is so level-headed.
Well, and he's taught you so much about how to be more level-headed during those fights.
Oh my God.
Like that.
He has taught me so much. But I'm hoping to also, translate that to our son. But like Fielding's a different personality than Connor.
Yeah.
He's got a little bit of me in him.
Yeah.
Half of me.
Yep.
And that's a wild Mustang.
And sometimes that you is like 75% of him, like just depending on the day.
So when he rolls his eyes at Kortnie and she's like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know, dude. Like, I'm just out here living.
I'm like, I said hi to him and he's like, oh God.
You watched him the other day when I did hair, and Connor got home and he goes, did you have fun at Courts today? And he goes, no.
I was like, excuse me.
Such an asshole.
We did all these little activities, but he's like, no, I didn't get to watch Hotel Transylvania.
He's like, put on Hotel Transylvania, give me sour cream and onion chips. Stop talking to me. Stop.
And I'm like, let's do a little art activity. Like, he was like, please.
Lady, leave me alone. My mom tried this shit and it failed. I've broken her spirit already. Now it's time to break yours. Literally. Speaking of, our kids are going back to daycare this week.
Yes.
God bless.
Yeah.
I'll miss him though. I have a hard time taking him, but
yeah, I think that my kids like they truly thrive off of like routine and structure, which is me. I pass that down to them. Like they weren't born that way. I pass that down.
I mean, I think it's a little bit of both.
Well, I just mean like it could be a bad thing, you know, but like unfortunately I've passed that down. But they're gonna go back, and I think they're going to do great. Addie's like so social. Tucker's in his social little phase. Yeah. And so I think it's going to be just so good for them to
your kids also do really well with drop off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't relate.
They do.
He doesn't do well with drop off with anything. So
well,
fingers crossed.
This is not great advice, but I would just say goodbye. I love you. Kiss, drop him off and just leave. Because it's going to make it easier for you and him.
Yes, that's pretty much what I do. And our daycare is so amazing.
I guess there's not really like, another choice to do that.
Right. Well, and when I worked at a school in person, it was like there was no choice. We're always running late because I had to be there at 7 a.m. They open at 7. So it was just like always chaos. Speaking of like feeling rushed. That was one of the reasons I wanted to leave brick and mortar because it is such a like go, 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 go. So anyways, I would have to be like toodles and leave whenever I had to walk him in. But our daycare is so awesome because now you pull up, they come and get them out of the car seat. You don't even get out. And I think that eliminates a lot of stress though because he doesn't cling to me because he can't.
Yeah.
And that's hard, but it's good. So I'm a little worried. Wednesday is our first day and we get to like actually walk them to class. And I'm a little nervous about how that's going to go because he's going to latch to me.
Yeah. Tucker did that a few times last year. And then I would just like, all right, bye, buddy. I gotta go. And like, I would be almost in tears, but I would just walk out, and then I would literally message like 5 minutes later, like, "Hey, is he okay?"
Yep.
Oh, he calmed down as soon as
always
he left. Like
his daycare is always
keep that in mind. It's so hard though when they're crying at you, "Mama, mama."
Well, and now he'll be like, "No, mama." Like it's using words for it. I'm like, shit. But it is.
They're always fine though after they can't see you.
And the thing is, distracted. Like exactly what you're saying. I messaged them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, no, he's literally fine. He's like watching TV and eating muffins. He's
as soon as you walk."
It's just the concept of being apart. But we've been together all summer, and I did not take him to daycare super consistently last semester because my schedule was just kind of like different. I didn't – this year I get to take him Monday, Wednesday, Friday, which is – those are our options, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday. Or all 5 days. Last year I taught Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, so I couldn't really pick either one. So then he was like with me some days and Connor would be off on Fridays.
Hard for him too.
Yeah, I mean I think it's confusing. I don't know that going every other day is going to be any less confusing for him, but other kids do it. It's saving me money.
Yeah.
And
he will get into the routine of it because he's going to know. Like kids are so smart and they pick up on that. Yeah. And even if he's going Monday, Wednesday, Friday, he's going to know, like, okay, this day I'm going. Like, exactly. He's going to catch on so fast.
I just hope he like goes and enjoys it and like has fun playing with kids because I feel like the ones class is what he was in last year. They're doing parallel play so much. They're not really interested in playing with other kids, and he's just starting to really get interested with other like playing with other kids. And I'm like, please, please, please go to daycare and like love it. Because Addie literally asked to go to school.
Yes.
I'm like, please let Fielding be a kid that asks to go to school someday. Like I'm begging. So I'm hoping it's good and like hoping his teachers are good. And but it's just so stressful. Like who knows? But
it's going to be great. It's going to be fine.
He got a Mario lunchbox. I got bento boxes. We're ready to roll.
Yep. We are set and ready. I think that's about it. Cheers and jeers real quick of the week. My cheers is we did the swim lessons last week, and Addie is an official swimmer now. So I'm like so excited about that.
When my pool is not green, we'll test her skills.
Perfect. Yes. She will love that.
Yeah.
And then my jeers, I guess would just be I had my mother-in-law in like helping all week, and she's going back home, and my father-in-law is too. And I'm like, it's always so hard when we have any type of family visit and then they go back home. I'm like, oh, like my heart sinks a little bit because like it's just so fun like having family around, and it's also nice. Like she's been so much help, and it's been nice having help with the kids. It feels so freeing to like get to not stress completely about every single little thing with the kids. And so I guess that's my cheers and jeers for the week.
My cheers. Wow.
Do cheers.
Fielding took a nap on the beach twice.
Hey, that is a cheers.
And let me tell you, that kid loves a beach nap.
Yeah.
And that's
No, that's amazing. God bless that he can fall asleep there.
I also played Bottle Knockers, which is a really fun game. I haven't played it. I did break my nose playing it one time, but that's beside the point. But I scored the game-winning point on that. Points.
Oh, okay.
And so, anytime I can...
Bottle Knockers is so fun.
Yes. Anytime I can make a big power play such as that, it really fuels me for a while. I didn't get eaten by a shark.
Okay. Yes, y'all had some close experiences.
Yeah, I guess the jeers is that we were in Galveston, which I'm very grateful that we got to go to Galveston. My mother-in-law rents a beach house. It's very nice that she does that. Galveston's not a gorgeous beach.
Yeah.
It's more of a chill beach.
Well, they also, you said, had like sharks and jellyfish around.
Lots of jellyfish
that were like the dangerous ones. So.
Lots of jellyfish. The people next to our tent, canopy thing, caught a hammerhead shark. It wasn't big, but
it's still a shark.
It's a shark.
Still a shark, y'all.
So, yikes. And then there was also high levels of flesh-eating bacteria. So all around, typical Galveston weekend. But it was still good. It was good to hang out with family and do all those things. And it's Sunday and we got to come back early and record and do this and all the things.
Get ready for the week.
Yes.
I'm going to gear up, y'all.
And now I'm going to force my company on you at your house.
I love it. Anytime.
I am assuming we're still hanging out after this.
That's fine. Anytime. Hey, you know how it goes.
So I know we just talked about boundaries, but you're not allowed to set a boundary that I can't.
Yeah. You're like, so boundaries just don't exist. Like, it's a one-way boundary.
So even if you don't need to come, I'm coming.
And that's on therapy.
Yeah, next after you see me,
I'm gonna find your therapist's number and text her and be like, hey, these are some points I need you to talk about with her.
Shut up, bitch. I won't allow it. How dare you? How dare you? There are no boundaries in this friendship. Jesus Christ. Okay. Well, that's it. That's
Wish
all
us luck this week as we go into another full week of trainings and Zoom meetings and all the things. So, all right, y'all. We love y'all. Thanks for listening in and listening to us ramble.
And cheers to that.
All right. Cheers to that. Bye.
Bye.